Hello, everybody. Welcome to day three of your water fast. I'm here. I am really apologize about yesterday. I'm in Los Angeles. Um, my house here was the epicenter of the fire, where the fire began. And I had to evacuate quite quickly at 11 o'clock my time yesterday. I'm in the same clothes that I've been in now for 20 over 24 hours. So again, day two of a water fast is a pretty can be a pretty difficult day. And I thought literally I would leave my house out of the fire zone and I would find a parking lot and grab my phone and be able to come to you all. And that didn't happen. So I hope you're all doing well. I see your comments, and please put some things in the questions in the Q&A. I do have some things I want to go through with you today. I will try to pick some questions out. And all I can say is I'm here, and bringing you uh, the best version of me I can today. So, and I'm at Lisa Bilyeu's house. If any of you know Women of Impact, if you don't, you should watch her podcast. So I have all these really cool, Wonder Woman characters behind me. So this is kind of a whole fun new thing that I get to be, and it's women supporting women. So this is a pretty cool place to be. What I really wanted to talk to you all about yesterday was the power of the ketone. And this is really important because ketones, I believe, are misinterpreted. They are not given enough credit for how they supercharge their brain, your brain. And as many of you know, I've been deep in writing the next book, which is all about what happens to the female brain after 40. And so I've been really deep in the research on ketones. So I want to start today because so many of you are in your ketogenic state. And I really want you to understand why this state is so powerful. And some of you are just getting ketones. Some of you are learning, maybe not getting enough ketones. So I really want to center today's conversation around the ketone. Um, I also, I know we're worldwide. I know we have a lot of people who are on different days, but I want to go back to a core principle that I built my YouTube channel off of, which is there's no such thing as a failed fast. So even if you've limped along, oh yeah, good. Some of you know your ketone numbers. Even if you've limped along, even if this has been a mind battle that you've had to keep going after, I really want you to think about what a gift you've given your body, and how amazing you were, whatever you were able to do. Even if you're listening to this and you broke the fast early, like every time you show up in a fast is a gift to your body. You are asking your body to be a partner in your healing process. That's like putting your freaking running shoes on and going to the gym, but maybe you get to the gym and you're like, I don't want to work out today, or I didn't get as good of a workout today as possible. At least you put your running shoes on and you went to the gym. So the first thing is that today you all need to focus on applauding yourself, no matter if it was easy or if it was hard. The fact that you even signed up for this and you said you were going to do it, whether it was messy or easy or whatever you discovered about yourself, what I want you to know is that is a huge step forward in your health. And I hope you have nothing but beautiful things to say to yourself. So that's step one. Step two, I hope you all know the process of breaking the fast. I feel like today I should probably go through that because That's important. You have metabolically switched over into this ketogenic energy system. You have been burning energy from fat. If you're thin, you're burning energy from fat inside your organs. If you're having weight to lose, I hope you're burning fat. You're feeling a little bit lighter from burning fat on the outside. But what's so important that's beyond you feeling good in your body is that burning fat created this ketone, which is incredible. So again, we'll talk about that. You have been over here in a whole nother energy system for a very, very long time, longer than most people spend. So when we switch back into the sugar burner system, um, we have to realize that we don't just go back into food. I mean, you can if you want. It just might not be as like it might be as difficult as the first day of fasting or 2 days of fasting if you just jump back into food. So I want to walk you through a process that I do. I'm watching a lot of you put in here let's do this. Can you put in the comments something amazing you discovered about yourself, something really good you discovered about yourself in this last 3 days? Um, because that's why we did this. The results are incredible too, but I want you to understand that. So when you're going to break your fast, what's going to happen is you're going to switch back now. And I really recommend that you switch back systematically. And the switch starts looking like the first thing you should do is broth. If you are a vegetarian, you would need to do a vegetable broth. I know in Eat Like a Girl, Chef Leslie, who ironically I spent the night on her couch last night as I was evacuated twice. I got evacuated from my hotel, and then I went to Chef Leslie's. So she put a functional mushroom broth. I asked her. That was one of the first things I asked when I had her contribute to Eat Like a Girl. Is I said we need a broth that vegans can use to break their fast. So you can make that broth. It's in that book. Leslie and I spent a lot of intentional time thinking about what mushrooms and what are the properties of mushrooms. So if you're vegan, you have that. If you're not vegan, I really recommend bone broth. Bone broth is really unique. Bone broth has a couple of key components in it. One of it is glycine. And glycine is this powerful amino acid that starts to heal the inner gut lining. So here you have been over in this fat burning system, and you're making ketones. And while you were over there, we talked about this the other day, like these bad microbes have been sloughing off, and your good microbes are starting to grow because they grow in that fasted state. And the whole internal environment of your gut is reorganizing itself to prepare for food. This is a primal way that the body heals itself in the absence of food, is that it says we haven't had food for a significant amount of time, so we better make sure when food comes in that we get nutrients, that we feed the microbes in here so they'll make neurotransmitters, that we have enough fuel for the microbes to be able to break down estrogen. Like there's a whole ecosystem inside your gut that has shifted in 3 days. And I'm going to talk about where ketones fit into this because there's a really cool one there too. So broth needs to be the first thing. And when we do bone broth, you have this high dose of glycine. And glycine goes in there and it repairs the inner mucosal lining of your gut. And the inner mucosal lining of your gut looks a lot like a screen door that if at your house, where you have a screen door to keep the bugs out. That inner mucosal lining is meant to keep the toxic stuff out that you might ingest. And and when we have been living a life of stress and we've been eating the wrong foods, when we've been on antibiotics for a long time, what happens is that inner lining of the gut, that screen door gets holes in it. It's called leaky gut syndrome. And when it gets holes in it, now undigested food can get into your bloodstream, toxins can get into your bloodstream, and your body starts to create this inflammatory response. So, those of you that know you have some conditions, I mean, almost every chronic condition is a chronic inflammatory condition. But when we're looking at making lasting changes, what's happened is we change that ecosystem through fasting, but then we come in with high doses of glycine and we repair the screen door so that glycine will heal that inner mucosal lining so that no more undigested food will come into your bloodstream, and you have a gut that literally has been reset. I tell the story all the time that when in my clinic, I used to I used to sell supplements all the time for, I mean, gut health was a very big part of what I did in my clinic, was repair people's guts. And we did it through supplementation. But then when I looked into the studies on fasting, I was like, wait a second, people can heal themselves by going into a longer fast. They get rid of the bad, but then if they can reintroduce food where they start to feed these microbes and they repair that inner lining, they actually can reestablish good bacteria. This is huge. This is like, you do it all on your own without using supplements is a really cool idea. So this is why I like bone broth, because it's going to heal that inner gut lining. So if you can do that as your first step, that would be great. Otherwise, do vegetable broth. Those of you who saw my Instagram post and or my Facebook post from last week from my fast, I showed that I also sometimes do green juice, but the green juice has to be organic and there can't be any fruit. So it's sometimes I want something refreshing, and so I'll do that sometimes. So that's your first step, is some liquid, specifically broth. Bone broth is best. Okay, then you want to start feeding these good bacteria. And so when you feed these good bacteria, you want to add something probiotic in. So I like a raw kefir if you do dairy. If you look at my video, I did a half a avocado with some sauerkraut on it. So you can do that. I add chia seeds, hemp seeds. I usually add some kind of prebiotic on there to feed the good microbes. Because if you put those good microbes, what they've been thinking is like, oh my God, like I have all the bad guys are gone. The environment in here has changed, and now food is coming in, and I can grow and be stronger. And this is how you get those good microbes to be able to thrive inside your gut. So we want to add something fermented in, and I just like doing it in avocado, but you could eat sauerkraut straight out of a jar. I like the seeds because the seeds are really prebiotic and they feed those good bacteria. So now you've repaired the inner mucosal lining with the bone broth or the broth of what you've chosen. You've fed the good bacteria and added some new stuff in. That's step number two. Now, step number three becomes, okay, we've got to try some steamed vegetables. And because sometimes the hardest thing to go back into is something high fiber. So I like to lightly steam the vegetables, and then see how your gut does. Is if it does well with that, then after you hit steamed vegetables, you're ready to do some animal meat. If you do animal meat, I chose this go around to do tofu. I was going to do the salmon furikake is now sitting in my refrigerator, if my refrigerator is still there. But I like wild salmon. as a possibility for like I don't go straight to red meat. But that's the sequence that I like. Is I like to do just a good, like gentle. And a lot of people ask me, those are all written in both books, by the way. I did a video on Instagram and Facebook, so I'm just going level for you here. Um, so uh, that you can't really get it wrong if and one of the with if you follow those steps. And one of the reasons I came up with those steps was because, and I wrote about this in Eat Like a Girl, that a lot of my patients were having what I call the boomerang effect, where they were like so excited to eat. And I went through this when I did my first 3-day water fast, and they were just so excited to eat that they just ate everything, and then they felt horrible. And the goal is I want your entry back into food to be good. I don't want it to be one where you were like, I felt amazing fasting and then I couldn't help myself and I ate a bunch of food and now I feel horrible. Like, you can keep the healing going. For some of you, you can even keep the ketones going. So I did this recently in my 3-day water fast. Is I didn't bring a lot of carbs in, like sweet potatoes or bread or anything like that, for a couple of days, because I wanted to try to keep those ketones going, and I'll explain why here in a second. Um, so a lot of people ask me what's the time period between those two, between each step. Um, I say a half hour. I think, if you're like, okay, it's been 20 minutes, I can't take it anymore, then, do pace yourself, but know that it's kind of like a buffer between you and your old habits. So that's like if your brain is like, I just want to eat my favorite potato chip, or I just want to eat my favorite thing, then I ask you to tell your brain, okay, after the 4 steps, you can eat your favorite thing. Because what I found is a lot of people don't won't eat as much, they won't boomerang as much if they follow those 4 steps. So I want to point that out. Okay. With that in mind, I want to talk about some of the lasting change that you've had go on here, because this is what's so powerful beyond just a cleanse. Um, and a lot of people are doing different detoxes this time of year, and I applaud them for that. But again, I come back to, the more I read about fasting, the more I'm convinced that it's the best way to cleanse your body, and you don't have to spend any money on it. So, and the effects are lasting. They're not just effects that last within the fast. So let's go through those effects real quickly. Um, so you switched over. Oh yeah, incredible dreams. Dreaming is really, my HRV always goes way up. My dreams go crazy. So yeah, it's pretty neat because your inflammation's down, and fasting actually stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system with all those ketones. It gives you that GABA release. So you do feel quite calm. And so, yeah, dreaming is pretty cool. Um, so, so when you were over here, in this ketogenic state, um, what was happening is around 15 hours, you were getting a dose of growth hormone. Growth hormone is the hormone you lose around 30. And growth hormone is actually the precursor to all other hormones. So you got that at 15 hours and it stayed with you the whole time. So there is a hormone balancing because you take the precursor of all hormones, growth hormone, and you upregulate that. The research says 1,300% increase in growth hormone at about a 24-hour fast. And after that growth hormone comes in, all the other hormones will follow. So testosterone follows, and and progesterone and estrogen. So you got that. That came, that was there for several days now. You've been upregulating your hormones. Then at 17 hours, you went into autophagy. So your cells that have been repairing themselves, those stay. If you can keep your sugar burner system intact and like do well with it, like you don't you stimulated autophagy. You got rid of the bad guys. When we stimulate autophagy, we stimulate apoptosis, and apoptosis means that your body got rid of some old cells that it knew were not good. Some of those were cancer cells, some of those were aging cells, and so your body got rid of those. Those aren't coming back. Those like you did it already. And then at like 24 hours, you got a burst of stem cells into your gut, and the gut went into this massive repair phase. That sticks. That sticks. That's there. You got it. So if you can make sure that your food is really, pristine, and we'll talk about that in a moment, you will keep these healing effects going. And then at 48 hours, you reset your metabolic switch. This is the fat burner. I mean, at 36 hours, this is the fat burner reset. I noticed since my fast last week that, my weight dropped. And it stayed dropped even though I was eating more and more, because you at 36 hours is you tell your body, hey, there's a pantry full of food. It's around my belly, and it's around the back of my arms. It's on my booty, wherever it is that you don't like it. Yeah, people are like, put in there how much weight you dropped. I think let's brag about ourselves. Um, but what the body already has that signal. So like you've reset the metabolic system at 36 hours. It's already reset. So if you can watch your glycemic index as you come back into your sugar burner system, and you can stay off the processed foods, stay off the bad oils, stay off the ultra processed flours and sugars. If you can stay off that, you reset your metabolic system. So just now take good care of it. It's there for you. But if you go right back into the ultra processed foods, you now over time are putting yourself back into a metabolic poor situation, and you're going to have to do another 3-day water fast to reset it again. So if you're like, well, I'm not really excited to do another 3-day water fast anytime soon, then be meticulous about that. The quality of food, eat nature's food, carbs, make sure you get off the bad toxic oils. I wrote all about this in Eat Like a Girl. I have charts after charts after charts in there for you. So just make sure that you are careful about what you eat. You just went to all this great length to reset this whole metabolism of yours. Do you know how many, I was in practice for over 25 years before I closed my clinic and started teaching what I was doing in my practice to the world. And there were like thousands of women that came into my clinic and were like, my metabolism is slow. And we stopped that conversation once I started teaching them how to go into these 3-day water fasts. And then we would sit together and we'd be like, okay, you just reset your metabolism. Now let's build our fasting lifestyle, because it was like, you got a burst. You did it. You did the hard work. So don't undo it. It's you just gave yourself that gift without any money. So that's 36 hours. At 48 hours, you reset your whole dopamine system. So pay close attention to where you're getting happiness right now. That first thing of food is going to taste so damn good. One of the first things I ate was coconut kefir with blueberries, and it was like the blueberries, like I could taste them. I wasn't just mindlessly like eating them and like thinking about something else. I was like savoring the taste of them, and the dopamine response from a blueberry was like so big. So know that you've already given yourself that. So don't just mindlessly eat for the next couple of days. Try to, you have taste sensors all on your tongue. Try to, can you figure out where the different sensors are? Can you close your eyes and just like enjoy the food that you're eating? Can you think about the farmer that put his or her heart and soul into growing the food you're eating? If you eat animal meat, can you thank the animal that gave its life for you? Like, we're so freaking unconscious when it comes to food. But now, when you bring food back in, we can start to respect the healing power of food and what it takes to be able to really enjoy food and not just shove it into our face. So that's 48 hours, and 72 hours is you resetting your immune system, which is why I do these fasts twice a year. I do a 3-day water fast twice a year. Sometimes I'll throw in more if I want to, if I'm like feeling called to. But yeah, you do this is why we do this, is because now your immune system's stronger. And when your immune system's stronger, you don't really care if people sneeze on you. And I did a whole video on this on my socials over the holiday, but it's not the virulence of the bacteria or the virus of the person that sneezed on you. It's how strong or weak of a host you are. And you all, like, when COVID hit, there wasn't one day of the 2.5 years of COVID that I ever thought I was scared of getting COVID. I was like, I went in, I doubled down on my fasting. I strengthened my metabolic health. I did all my supplements and my tools. And there was a point that I was like, I want to get it so I can build an immune system. And once I got it, which was a year, September 2021, so I got the Delta version, I went into a fast and it was gone within 5 days. So if you want to feel in control and stop blaming everybody around you for not getting vaccinated or for sneezing on you, then take control of your own immune system. You have the control of your own immune system, and it starts with amazing metabolic health. And so you just gave your immune system this huge upgrade. So go, what we always do in the academy, after we have these 15-day experiences. In fact, we're doing one in a week. So if you want to join us on another like fasting where we do food and fasting combo, you can join my academy and you can be a part of that experience. But at the end of those 15 days, I always tell my Reset Academy members, in fact, if you're a member, put it in the comments. I always say, now you just changed your life after 15 days. There is nobody to give credit to but you. So go look in yourself in the mirror and thank yourself. And I'm going to tell you the same thing. I don't care how messy or easy, or if you stopped shorter than you like to stop. I don't care if how ugly it was. You, after this call, need to go look at yourself in the mirror, because we don't look at our eyes enough, and look at yourself and thank yourself, because you did this. I didn't do this. Yes. And my certified coaches, thank you. If you all, I do want to point out, just side note, we have an arsenal of certified coaches, and they have been trained in helping people with their fasting lifestyles. If you need extra help, go to my website. There is a directory of these coaches. So please lean into them. I can't do all of this on my own. Yeah, if yesterday was an example of that, there has to be a duplication of me, and and you all are, with enough time, repetition, and knowledgeable, are just as powerful, can be just as powerful as me. So we're looking for an arsenal of members, and we'll be doing a whole nother certification course if you want to be a coach in February. So stay tuned for information on that. But you did this. So please give yourself the credit. Please walk around like you're the badass you deserve to be. Now, with that out of the way, I want to talk about the ketone. And the first thing I want to point out is that women over 40, well, for both men and women, this happens as we age for both um, men and women. And what I would tell you is that the most misunderstood concept about nutrition and aging is that as you age, your brain becomes less sensitive to glucose. Let's back up a moment. You have neurons in your brain that you are feeding when you eat. So when you eat, glucose goes up. And that glucose goes into the neurons of your brain, goes into the cells of the neurons of your brain, goes deep into a part of the neuron of the cell called your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are giving you energy to think. It's giving you energy to remember, to focus, for happiness. That's the battery of your brain. So if after 40, as you're aging, you feel like your brain is crashing on you, or you feel like you can't think straight or you can't focus, it's because you're not giving the right fuel source to that battery. After 40, it needs to be less glucose, less sugar burner, and more ketones. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is also being called diabetes type 3 because it's the brain's inability to use glucose for energy. You are not meant to rely as you age more on glucose. You are meant, as you age, especially my women, as you age, you're meant to lean more and more into ketones. There are some really interesting studies on ketones and Alzheimer's, ketones and Parkinson's, ketones and dementia. That when they take somebody who's lacking memory to the degree of dementia and Alzheimer's, and they give them exogenous ketones, and they have them drink exogenous ketones. Those ketones go into the body and they supercharge the brain, and memory starts to come back. There is study after study after study proving this, and I do not understand why this isn't in the cultural zeitgeist. My next book is going to put it into the cultural zeitgeist. But if you are over 40 and you are struggling with brain fog, if you are depressed, if you are anxious, if you can't focus, then you need to think about more ketones. You don't always need to go outside yourself to get them. I'm not telling you everybody should go try exogenous ketones, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. But you can make sure every day you're microdosing in these ketones. Do a 15-hour fast, a 17-hour fast, just every day. Keep giving the brain some ketones so it can stay supercharged. I can tell you at 55, my brain works better at 55 than it did at 35. My memory is better at 55 than it was at 35. And that is only because of ketones. Now, for women over 40, what I want to tell you is that you didn't just change the fuel source of glucose and ketones, you also lost estrogen. And estrogen also fueled those mitochondria in the brain. And so you lost two fuel sources, which is why menopause creates all these brain symptoms, because you lost two major fuel sources. But the ketone is powerful enough to be able to supercharge your brain in the decline of estrogen and in your neurons' inability to absorb glucose anymore. The ketone is the heroine of the menopausal journey. It can bring your brain back online. And a lot of you are feeling that right now. I shared with you the other day how my friend said to me on the third day of my fast, she's like, "Oh my God, you sound like you're on drugs right now." And I'm like, "I'm just on ketones." And like, I think, oh my God, like what if like could I, I'm at 55, really clear. I want to spend more of my day in a ketogenic state because I want my brain to be working at its best. So that's this fuel source. You're getting to know it. Now, it doesn't just, by the way, create a better brain energy in you. It also does a couple other really significant things. One of them is it becomes neuroprotective. So let's use me as an example. I'm sitting on the top of a hill in West Hollywood looking at smoke just covering the LA basin right now. Um, the smoke that comes off of fires is from houses burning. There are plastics in them. I mean, the smoke itself is bad. I mean, smog is bad already in LA. Like, there's a lot in the air right now that people will be breathing in that are damaging to the neurons in your brain. But you have a backup system that kicks in that cleans the brain every night when you go to sleep. When you sleep, your brain shrinks and the cerebral spinal fluid comes up through your back, washes your brain, and then like takes all those toxins. Let's just call PM 2.5, which is the major toxic piece of pollution, and it washes it out of the neurons and it gives it a detox every single night. This is why sleep is so important. But as you age, it's called your lymphatic system. But as you age, that detox system doesn't work as well. So now we have people over here not realizing that they should get more ketones. They're just eating more sugar and more sugar and more sugar. And I will tell you, I have a dad right now who is in early signs of dementia. And every time he eats horrible, he's just a different personality. So I'm very, very, familiar with, I see some of you putting there, I'm dealing with a parent with dementia. It's a whole nother level. And when he eats sugar, his memory is worse. And so when you are, aging and you are eating more sugar, you are shutting down the energy system of the brain, and you are shutting down how your brain, and along with that, your brain isn't detoxing as well. And so what ends up happening is the brain starts to, like the toxins build up in the brain. And when toxins build up and glucose can't be used, it creates inflammation. And inflammation in the brain creates protein tangling, tau protein tangling. We've all heard of this with Alzheimer's, where instead of the neurons shooting information across to the other neuron, all of a sudden these neurons curl up and they degenerate and information can't get across, which is why memory gets off. But if you want, what we know about ketones is ketones protect the neurons and from toxins, and they help with actually detoxing, because the mitochondria are key for detoxing, for getting glutathione into the system so that you can detox. So you can be over here during the day in a ketogenic state, and you are in a neuroprotective state so that toxins don't get at you. I used to say, I said during COVID all the time, I'm like, if everybody would just fast, we'd be out of this darn pandemic. And as I'm staring down at LA today, I'm thinking everybody should be taking exogenous ketones, or everybody should be in a ketogenic state or fasting to protect their brains from what's going on in the air right now. So that you have that in you. That's in you. You just need to learn to fast to be able to access that. But it doesn't even end there. The other thing that ketones do, besides give you better brain energy, besides helping bring down inflammation and really helping with neurodegenerative conditions, other than helping you detox and protecting you, is it changes your microbiome. So, and the key for those of you who are trying to lose weight is that as it changes your microbiome, it changes a ratio of two big groups of microbes. One is called Bacteroides, and the other I call them Firmicutes, but they're not very cute because there is a ratio of Bacteroides to Firmicutes that has to be in balance for you not to gain weight. If your Bacteroides to Firmicutes ratio is too high, you can look at food and gain weight. And this ratio has gotten off because of highly processed foods, antibiotics, and chronic stress, and for women, birth control use, which is why women gain weight when they get on the birth control pill, because it changes the Bacteroides to Firmicutes. It's really Firmicutes, but I call them Firmicutes. Firmicutes ratio. And now I mean, put in the chat. How many of you are like, I've tried and I tried and I tried to lose weight and I can't, and I'm addicted to food and nothing I'm doing is working. This is why fasting is, in my opinion, and in what I've seen with millions of people, is the door out of poor metabolic health, because the results are lasting and this ketone is miraculous. So what we know about the ketone is not only does it have all this neuroprotective effects, but it changes your Bacteroides to Firmicutes ratio. It lowers your ratio so you stop gaining weight for no freaking reason. This is why what you just did is lasting. And so if you get to a point where maybe 2 weeks from now you slip into some bad food behavior, and you're beating yourself up, you just have to come back over here. Join us over here. Just join us over here. Keep staying within this fat burning system. I spend half of my day usually over here. As a 55-year-old woman, I spend half my day and sometimes longer in the ketogenic energy system. Now, cycling women, you're going to have to figure out how to time that according to your cycle. I've taught you that in Fast Like a Girl. But in men, you too can spend more time on over here, especially if you are in like an aging, if you're in this like aging state where the metabolic system shuts down, the immune system shuts down, the brain stops working. This is not just aging that we just accept. This is within our control. At 55, I feel better than I did at 35. There's a reason for that, and it's because of this darn ketone. So the ketone itself is going to flip the switch on this imbalance of bacteria. The other thing we talked about the other day is the ketone will upregulate the Akkermansia probiotic. So those of you, I heard from my team that some of you weren't really excited about the cost of Pendulum. I'm only here to give you options. I'm not here ever to tell you that you have to lean into a supplement to heal yourself. So please know that I will continue to give you options that you can heal yourself with without spending any money. And I will share with you my favorite products that I do feel are wonderful. And Pendulum is one of them. But what I can tell you today, and I told you this 2 days ago or whenever we started this journey, which feels like a lifetime ago, is that like I can tell you that you have upregulated your own Akkermansia because you had ketones, and the research shows that ketones upregulate Akkermansia. So start fasting. I just realized that, I'm sorry, it's been a little bit of a long 24 hours, but today's day 2 of your water fast, is it not? So I'm happy I'm here on day 2. So I didn't remember what day it was. But anyways, all of that from one ketone that you made yourself. This is why, I'm more convicted on fasting than ever before. And now that I've fallen in love with the ketone from the lens of the aging brain. I just want to continue us all to understand that your body heals itself in the absence of food. Your body heals itself. And this doesn't mean you do 7 21 day fast, like whatever. If that feels right for you, go ahead and do it. But this is why Fast Like a Girl is such an important book to be out into the zeitgeist, because it is a tool that people can use to heal themselves without having to be in, spend money. And that's what our right as humans should be, is we should be able to heal ourselves without having to spend money. And we know walking, we can heal ourselves with walking. We know sun, you can get out and get sun, and that has a form of healing. It's just the timing of food that hasn't been given enough credit until now. So, and now the other thing that I want to say, I talked the other day a lot about hunger. And so, yeah, somebody's putting in their stuff on Ozempic. And I talked about how I feel about the weight loss drugs and how we got here because the food industry destroyed those microbes that make GLP-1. So how beautiful that the big pharma came in and like is now profiting off that. And many of the big food and big pharma companies are the same company. So that's a great business model. Have one product that destroys everybody's health, and then have another product that like brings that back. But you don't need Ozempic if you learn how to do this metabolic switch every day, and you start to learn how to go in and out of these states and get some ketones, and then watch those oils and watch those processed foods and start learning to read ingredients, and then go get some more ketones and then come back. I'll tell you, I don't know why I'm having, well, I know why I'm having this this visual. But yesterday, when I left the Palisades yesterday, and I was trying to get out of my neighborhood, there were planes going over that were like dipping into the ocean and grabbing the ocean water and then bringing them into the Palisades because they were so close. And I'm thinking at this moment that that's what this should look like. You should, dip in to the ketogenic energy state, get some ketones. Those ketones are protecting the brain. They're powering up your brain. They're changing your microbiome. Okay, you got a little dip. Now go back and like work on your food and find the rhythm of your food, and keep like thinking about how you can clean up that food, and get off your food addiction. And now you got to go and dip back into the ketone water and dip back in there and put that ketones, let it wash your body and your brain so it can speed up the healing. And you have that in, I mean, there's so many stories going on about the city of LA right now, but it didn't cost them any money to dip into the ocean and grab some water and to put it on a fire. And it doesn't cost you any money to dip into the ketogenic state, grab some ketones, and then be able to heal yourself. So we're not looking for you to stay completely in the ketogenic energy state. You're literally dipping in and like washing your brain and your body, and your body's like, thank you. Okay, then you come over to food, and you're like, okay, when I come over to food, I want to make sure I eat a good variety of food. I won't talk too much about food today, but there's principles we'll chat about tomorrow and on Friday about food. If today's day 2, that would not be nice. But there's principles over here you can follow where you can make sure that you are nourishing yourself with food and then dipping in and getting ketones and coming back. This is why I'm the more I've read over the last week, I was really deep into writing one of the chapters of my book, and I was all in the ketone research, and I'm back at this is a crime. This is a crime that we aren't talking about this. Like, this is a crime that we aren't sharing the power of a ketone. And the reason why is because if you catch on to how your body heals itself, who wins? Who profits from that? Nobody. Nobody profits from that because you might not need the weight loss drugs. You might not need, the high powered antibiotic for your gut. You might not need some of these things that big pharma is profiting off of. And you sure will step out of the food addiction. And so the two biggest industries don't benefit from you knowing about ketones, and those ketones, and the only way you would know about those ketones is in mainstream media, and mainstream media is bought by big pharma and big food. That's here in America what we're dealing with. That is a fact. That's not my hypothesis. That's a fact. So we need to lean into those ketones. Now, somebody put in here a question about, they put the number of how many ketones. This is a big one because what I saw in my experience in my clinic was that a lot of people were like, if a little bit of ketones is good, a lot is better. No, it doesn't matter. Think of it like a faucet. You either turn it on or you turn it off. So the minute you are zero point 0.5 or above, you have turned on the ketone faucet. And in the beginning, what ends up happening is you tend to get these bigger numbers because your body is like, whoa, wait, this other fuel source. So a lot of you, I think somebody put in here that they got into like 5.0 as their ketone amount. Yeah, somebody is saying, no, glucose 7.1. Okay, we can do that. So 7.1, I don't know, that person should think about having some fat. You don't want to get more than 8 on your ketones. So I would think about eating some fat. Just I don't want you getting too into ketoacidosis. But in the beginning, when we first fast, what ends up happening is that we produce these big ketone numbers. And it's really exciting because we're like, I mean, I used to see it in my clinic all the time. People would walk around and they'd be like, I'm a 5.0. We would do group 3-day fasts like this in my clinic. So all the women in my clinic would come pouring in, and everybody be like, I'm a 5.0, I'm a 6.0, and this. And we thought that was sort of like the big thing. And what I saw is all of us that kept fasting longer and longer, those big numbers became more and more difficult to achieve. And the reason for that is because your body gets more efficient at using them. So if you're seeing them high in the beginning and then they're low, it's like the body's like, oh, I know this fuel source. So if we go back to this fasting lifestyle, when you're dipping in and dipping out and dipping in and dipping out, the more you do it, the less you'll see those big numbers on your ketone reader. So that's why I don't want you to get like caught into like the nuance of the numbers. So, but that's what we're going for. This is metabolic switching. And we've talked so much about autophagy. I don't know why autophagy is like this cultural conversation that people like loved. They were like, my whole YouTube channel started from people geeking out on autophagy. And I love that. I mean, I love that people were excited about the body healing itself. But there's more going on over here than just autophagy, and ketosis is one of them. Ketosis and getting these ketones, you can actually be out of autophagy and be in a ketosis. Like those two, you don't have to. Autophagy and ketosis aren't like Siamese twins. They don't like go together completely. You can be in ketosis and out of autophagy. That's like an advanced principle. But for the sake of today's conversation, I want you to fall in love with these ketones. Now, there are ways to increase your ketone amount that is sort of acceptable in my book. So we're on day 2. If you're hungry, ketones kill hunger. So one of the ways is to add some MCT oil in somewhere. Add it into your coffee. Put it on a spoon somehow, and just get it in, because the research is showing that MCT oil goes straight to the liver and knocks on the liver and says, hey, more ketones, please. Make me more ketones. So MCT oil is the messenger that tells the liver to amp up ketone production. So, and you will not break a fast if you go and take some MCT oil today. You can put it on a spoon. You can put it in your pocket with LMNT. Um, you won't be you won't you're not breaking the fast. So that's one way. Another way is exogenous ketones, and there's something called ketone salts, and there's something called ketone esters. We have played in my clinic, we played with this. I played with it for myself. Um, and it's a product called Ketone IQ. Maybe if my team's on the line, we might have a discount code for you. So maybe my team can do that. It might be I don't know if it's in the companion guide. You could go to my website if you wanted to see it. Um, these ketone esters can be neuroprotective. They can have all the qualities of the ketones you make on the inside. Now, I will tell you, they taste horrible. So anybody's ever tried? Okay, somebody said they love ketone IQ. I love the effects of from ketone IQ. I have taken ketone IQ at like 10 in the morning when I have a busy day and I'm in a mild form of ketosis. I'll just take some of the esters and it kind of ramps up your ketone production, or your ketone experience, let's put it that way. And it's quite amazing. Again, this is not for the people who have FOMO. Like, I'm just telling you what you can do to maybe amp it up a little bit. So know that those are some outside ways to get it. But so if you're hungry today on day two, try some MCT oil, because I think a lot of people could get MCT oil. Um, if you have ketone IQ, try it. You might try and order it and play with it after this and see how you do. But when ketones are fully in the system, they do make the hunger process a lot better. So, hopefully that'll help. Um, Okay, last couple of things is if you are on day two today, this can be the toughest day. Usually around nighttime, you turn. Once you get up on tomorrow morning, it gets so much easier because you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So know that today can be a real mind game. So use all the tricks and the hacks and the things that I've mentioned here. Um, Tomorrow, make sure I'll be back tomorrow, unless West Hollywood goes on fire. I'm in a location for a moment, so I'll be back tomorrow. And tomorrow there will be hope, and you will be ready, and you will be excited, and I don't want you to miss out on that third day. So find some statements to tell yourself over the next couple of hours or throughout today. Call a friend, go to the Resetter Collaborative, take an extra pack of LMNT. Find something that is going to get you through today, because your tomorrow self will thank you. And I will tell you that I used to always have a quote that I lived my life by, and it's do something today that your tomorrow self will thank you for. And I think a lot of people get sucked into the pleasure of today, without honoring that the pleasure of today is actually at the consequence of tomorrow. So today, think about your Friday self, think about your tomorrow self. Like, hang in there for her. Hang in there for her, so that she can have that experience of what it's like to get to the third day of a water fast. And it's really profound. So, and yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for those of you who are sending me nice messages. I appreciate it. I wanted to be here with you. I'd rather be here with you. Um, so thank you for being here. And again, I felt really bad that I wasn't here for you yesterday. If I could have found a parking lot and pulled out my phone, I would have done it. But that's what we got, and that's where you're at. And please keep thanking yourself. please lean into my voice and listening to everything that I've been teaching you. Keep believing that your body is doing something miraculous, even though it's not feeling good. Like a sprained ankle is miraculous. A sprained ankle is the body healing itself, but it doesn't feel good. A fever is the body healing itself, but that doesn't feel very good. Um, and um, and so, we don't ever with a fever doubt that the body's doing the wrong thing. We're just like, okay, this is what I got. So if you have symptoms, just notice them, and try to work with them, not resist them, and hang in there so you can get to that day 3. So, and the last thing I will tell you is, I'm watching your stories. Well, until yesterday. I mean, I watched when I got to my hotel, the first place I was at yesterday. Um, and I love it really, I might say that's one of the greatest joys of my life is to watch you take this information and heal yourself. So keep posting about your experience on stories, keep tagging me. I'm watching, I'm answering you when I can. I primarily watch on Instagram. I know a lot of you are getting great support in the Reset Surrender Collaborative on Facebook, which is amazing. But the what the world needs health wise right now is individuals that will are taking extraordinary care of themselves and are finding healing from things like fasting that don't take money. And, you know, when you understand how powerful you are, you don't need the right politician to be in office. You don't need to have every coworker not be sick. You don't need to blame your genetics. You start to see that you are in control. And that's what I'm really wanting to give you. And being in discomfort during this fast doesn't mean that you're not in control. It means that your body's healing, and sometimes healing can be discomfort, can not feel so good. And you will be thankful. You will feel incredible. So that you stuck it through. So please, 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 please hang in there. Hear me. Stick it out. You got this. It's your body's going to be okay. So, um, so I'm going to end on that. Those of you again that need a Fast Like a Girl certified coach, you can go find some help there. I'll talk a little bit tomorrow, a little bit more about how you can join me in my Reset Academy. We have a really cool new curriculum that we are launching over there. And so there's more goodness to come, but don't give up on yourself today, please, 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 please. Like just listen, just like soak in my belief in you, please. You're doing this for you, please. Don't give up on yourself. The world is cheering you on. If every individual took their health as serious as you're taking it right now, we would have never had a pandemic and we wouldn't have the chronic disease problem that we have, and we wouldn't lose loved ones the way we're losing loved ones from chronic disease. So that's the power of this metabolic switch. And you're just bathing in ketones now. So, okay, sending you much love. Again, given the right circumstances, I will be back tomorrow in my Wonder Woman office. Which I might, Lisa doesn't know this, but I might actually move in here. It's pretty nice here. So this is not a bad office. But just know that I'm wrapping you in love and belief. You totally have this. So have an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow.